everybody. Hello, welcome to RBCM Outside. My name is Liz Crocker. I'm a learning program developer at the WildBC Museum. And I do these programs at Outside every second Wednesday. And I've done them in a few different locations. This one is in my backyard in Saanich, BC on Vancouver Island. So I'd like to acknowledge that where I live is on the territories of the Lekwungen and the Wasanich speaking peoples. So as always, when I do these programs right now in this strange pandemic time, I'm very grateful to be working. And also today, I just wanted to mention it's June 3rd, 2020, and there's a lot of things going on in the world out there. And so I think I just want to say that getting outside can be a really great thing for human beings, for human health. Lots of research has proven that. It's not just for escape, it's restorative, it's good for you. You can't get outside, open a window and take some deep breaths. So really grateful to be out here today. So we're going to be together for about 30 minutes. If you're out there in Facebook or Zoom, you can type comments or questions in the chat window and we will get to those for sure. We'll also be recording this program so you can come back later and see it again on our YouTube channel afterwards. And so we're in a webinar format, which means we can't see or hear you, but you can see and hear us. So it's just through the chat window that we are communicating with you. And we are still social distancing, like I mentioned. So I have Stephanie Weinstein, who I will formally introduce here in a minute, from Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation. But we're good 6 feet away. We're being very careful, and we're not mic'd because we don't have a miking system that we can share. So we're going to do our best to project with our educator voices. And I want to tell you before I introduce Stephanie about the next couple of programs. So we do these every second Wednesday, but I'm doing an extra one next week in honor of Oceans Week. So Oceans Week is June 7th to 14th. That's right. And so next Wednesday, we're going to be doing RBCM Outside from a rocky beach off the coast of Victoria with Dr. Gavin Hankey and Heidi Gartner from the Royal BC Museum. We're going to be looking at some ocean life. And then on the 17th of June, I'll be with Luann Neal on site at the museum in the cultural precinct, Thunderbird Park, looking at the some poles and the history of the park. And I know we were originally scheduled to have Luann with us today, but there was a scheduling issue and we had to reschedule her for the 17th. So come back for the 17th if you're looking forward to seeing Luann. And yes, so happy to have Stephanie Weinstein here with me today. She's a WildBC facilitator, Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation, and which is a fancy way of saying she's just a really amazing educator. And so Stephanie and I thought we would share some of our favorite ideas and activities for sharing nature with children, just because a lot of us in BC, well, not just in BC, we're going to be staying closer to home this summer, and you hopefully will get some more time to be outside if you are a parent with children, especially with younger children. And we're gonna hopefully give you some ideas of things that you can do. And to that end, we have put some of those resources on the learning portal, the museum's learning portal. So Chris, who's in the Zoom room, will share that link, and Wes will share it on Facebook. So there's a learning portal playlist that will give you some backup resources and some of the things that we're referring to today will be on that website. So, right, Stephanie?
That's right.
Okay. So I think without further ado, I'm going to start with a few things, and then I'm going to turn the camera. I'm going to get behind the camera and turn it over to Stephanie. So just to start, Steph, did you want to say anything before I dive in?
No, I would just like to say, you know, I had a little bit of a stressful morning, and as soon as I got outside and looked at the trees and listened to the birds and took a deep breath, how much better I felt. And you don't have to be anywhere fancy in nature. You don't have to be in a wild place. These can be done anywhere, in your backyard, even if between the cracks in the sidewalk.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Yep, from your window. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I had a stressful morning too, just a little bit. Not like yours, I heard about yours. Okay, so the thing about going out in nature with kids is what we hear as educators a lot is sometimes people feel like, oh, they can't take their children out in nature because they just don't know enough. And really, you don't have to know very much at all. You really just need to be human and aware of your senses. So some of the things I'm going to talk about are more about nature awareness and appreciation. And I think Stephanie's going to dig more into some things around observational and skills and investigating. So to begin with, I just wanted to show you this book, which I didn't check before we came on, but I think it's still in print. I'm going to go up to the camera. Sharing Nature with Children by Joseph Cornell. It is came out, I think, in 1979, and it's still really an excellent resource. Wouldn't you say, Stephanie?
It's the classic.
It's the classic. Some great activities in there, and just really gets across the idea that it's really just being outside and using your senses and kind of getting out of your head, like Stephanie was saying. So just a couple little tools. And Joseph Cornell mentioned some of these, but these are some that I just pulled out some of my favorites. Stephanie pulled some of her favorites. Is having a clipboard for kids to use. It keeps their hands busy. If you've got regular size clipboards, that's fine. But if you want to make small ones for little kids, just cut out a piece of cardboard, stick a paper on it, and use a clothespin or like a dog clip. I think you've got one with like stationary clip.
Is mine waterproof?
Yeah.
In a baggie?
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be fancy. And then, you can use crayons or pencils or whatever, so they can draw or write wherever they're at, and it just sort of starts to get them in that mode of observing. And connected to observing is just having get a hand lens, a magnifying glass or hand lens. You can get them all over the place. It doesn't have to be this big. They can be smaller. Just kind of gets them in the idea or in the mode to more observing, and also practicing, because you have to learn how to use these. You have to go back and forth and find something to look at, and they can practice. Oh, how does it look when I get close to it? How does it look when I do this? And making sure they don't look up at the sun. And you can also then tie something like this onto a string, and then they can wear it around their neck, so they're not dropping it when they're walking around. Mm-hmm. And similar to having a tool like that, next time you go to the dentist, ask for a dental mirror. Sometimes you can get them for free, and but they're not very expensive. And just dental mirrors, especially for little ones, are great. I don't have anything to hop to over here, but because they're low to the ground anyway, try not to get too close to Steph. Oh no, you're not gonna be able to see it anyway, but they can go low down under a plant, for example, and have a look at something underneath, and then show it, and then show you. You can say, oh, go find 3 interesting things that are underneath the plants that are all around you. Okay, now that was it for me for tools. So, and I wanted to show an activity that's related to sensory awareness that I've used a lot of times, that I love to do, which is, and it also helps get you not just looking with your eyes, but using other senses. Oh yes, and before doing that, a fun thing you can do is warm up your senses with the kids that you are outside with. So Stephanie, I think we should warm up our senses.
Yes, and if anyone's there, you can do it with us.
Exactly. So okay, I'm just gonna do it, and then we'll break it down. Okay. So this is how you warm up your senses. You take your 2 hands, get your hands, and then you smack them together really hard, and you rub your hands together really hard, really fast. Really, so it's going to start to get hot. Can you feel that heat?
Oh, it's getting warm.
There's sparks flying off of Stephanie's head. Oh my gosh, keep going. They should be tingling and hot. Hold them up in the air. Are they tingling, Stephanie?
Yeah, lots of energy.
Take your tingly fingers and put them over your eyes. And now take them off. Now, does everything look clearer? Maybe more colors? A little brighter? I hope so.
Just to let you know, Liz and Stephanie, you're frozen right now. We can hear you and imagine what you're doing.
Okay. Okay. Have we gone? Are we live? Or are we moving?
You're live. We can hear you. We just can't. You're just frozen as an image.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Well, we've lost our sense of sight, so that's okay. We still have our sense of hearing.
Okay. So put your hands together, rub them together really fast, get them really hot. I need to see more sparks flying. Okay, then take your tingly fingers and put them over your ears. Hold them over your ears. Take them off. And now can you hear better? You should be able, your ears should be working better now. Are we moving now, Chris?
No, you're still frozen.
Still frozen. Oh my goodness. I'm going to move the camera. Just going to see if it'll do anything. Did that help?
That helped.
Oh dear. Okay, this is
So now you just have to do all that again.
We're already sweating. See, this is the joy of doing live outside programs. You never know what's going to happen. So essentially what you're doing, and sorry you couldn't see it, but you're just warming up your hands, and you're getting that energy, and then you put them on all the different senses, and you get the kids to lead. So what would be next? What would be the next sense? We've done our eyes, we've done our ears. What's next, Stephanie?
How about our sense of smell?
Okay.
Our nose.
Our noses. Put it over your nose. And you put your hands over your nose, so you can't hear me when I'm covering over my mouth. And then you take a deep breath just with your nose. Oh, you should be able to smell it. Can you smell all those different smells? My nose is working. My nose is working so much better now. It's amazing, the magical power in your hands when you're warming up your senses. And then you can even go to your mouth and your tongue and just remind kids that we're not going to taste anything when we're out in nature today. You always have to be with somebody who knows what's okay to taste out in nature.
Taste the air.
I guess you could. You could taste the air like a snake.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, so you can have fun.
You're frozen again, Liz. Sorry.
Oh, frozen. No, thanks for telling me.
Camera.
I'll try. I mean, I can move the camera, and I'm just doing that kind of like a placebo effect. I don't think it.
How's that?
How's that? No.
It works wonders, actually.
How's that?
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I'm going to turn it over to Steph in a minute, but just before I do, just very quickly, a really easy, fun sensory activity is take an egg carton, empty egg carton, and go outside somewhere. If it's in your backyard, it's great because you own all the vegetation back there and you're okay if your kids pick it. You want to be careful in someone else's land or a park. But you can send them out looking for different touches. So you could say, okay, can you go out and find something that is smooth and something that is bumpy? And so they put a smooth thing in one, a bumpy thing in something else, something that's spiky, something that's fuzzy, something that's wet, something that's dry, especially with early learners. Opposites and patterns are good to use with them, all kinds of different things like that. Hey, Steph? Mm-hmm. And then for a little bit older kids, you could do like an adjective hunt. Here's one, actually, Stephanie set this up, and I love this idea. So you would have things already set up in here that would match some of these words here. So how would you describe me, is what it says. And then there's some different adjectives for things that are in there: bumpy, soft, fragrant, delicate, heavy. And right, if you're a French immersion teacher, you could have them in French, of course. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do this. And there are lots of different descriptions of doing this activity online as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to stop talking because I want to hear what Stephanie is going to share with us. So I'm going to go work on the camera here. Stephanie,
okay,
hang on. Chris, are we live still?
Yep.
Okay,
All's good.
excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm going to move back here. Hello, everybody. My face. Turn it to Steph. Here we go. No. There we go. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Liz. Hi, everybody. So I work for the Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation, and we have a lot of amazing resources for connecting to nature on our website, hctfeducation.ca, and also on the playlist. And a lot of these activities are in a free download. This manual here, it's called Get Outdoors, an educator's guide to outdoor classrooms, parks, schoolyards, and other special places. That special place can even be on your patio. These are things you can do anywhere. So like that, the touch scavenger hunt is on there as well. So I'm gonna show an activity as well, but I wanted to first show a few other tools like Liz had started. To get in, once you've warmed up your senses and you're looking around you and you're more aware of your surroundings, you might be able to start asking questions and just noticing things more, which is really the basis for all of science, is observations and just being curious and that sense of wonder. So you don't really need tools, but sometimes it helps to have some. I'm sitting on something my daughter made. all it is a piece of cardboard wrapped in a garbage bag and covered with some duct tape. This is great if you want to spend some time. Well, it's good for also gardening to protect your knees. You can sit on it outside. So spending a little bit more time outside and observing, it's nice to have a seat that you can bring with you in your little portable bag of outdoor treasures. So some other things that I like to have are, you might be able to hear some of the birds around us. Sometimes, especially for younger ones, we have some little binoculars. Younger kids have a lot of trouble using real binoculars with lenses. They often use them upside down. Using toilet paper rolls and making them and personalizing them is fun. And all it does is helps you, blocks out a lot of the world. So you just have a smaller area to focus on, which is can really help you to notice things in a different way. Another way to do that actually is just like a frame. You could just cut out something with a piece of paper. This is just from an old picture frame. And then you can just imagine, you know, block out a lot of the world and just hone in kind of like a camera and notice some of the things that are around you, what the different patterns of the branches. I don't know, what can you see through there?
Right now, oh, the rock. If you lift it a little higher, I'll get a little bit of the garden.
Ooh.
Very cool.
So that's something that's fun to have. Recycled containers are always good for finding little things, looking up close, whether it's a little piece of moss or a piece of bark, a rock, maybe a small creature. We'll get into that soon. I'll get a magnifier, then you can look right through your container, see what you have there. Another thing I like to carry with me is just a piece of rope. So another fun activity is called a 100 centimeter hike, or I don't know, in this case, it's probably about 60 centimeters. It's nice in a loop as well, but you can make it as a trail and then just observe everything that's around it. And again, it's like making you look smaller and really honing in. And it's fun also to do with a sibling or a partner, if you're able to have somebody close to share ideas and share your observations. And again, observations aren't identifying anything. So you really don't have to know what anything is. It's just about noticing the colors, the textures, the smells, and then thinking about questions like, why is it growing like that? What's this one doing here? That one's really different than the other ones. Where did it come from?
And sorry, Steph, to jump in. I've done that one where it's called mini parks.
Yes.
Yeah, and so kids really like, oh, is mini parks in there? Okay. Yeah, and so they, you know, if there was a little hill there, mini hill, the kids can talk about what they want that hill to be. Like, oh, there's an obstacle course in there. There's there's a roller coaster. Oops.
Yeah. Oh, and there's actually an ant in my park. So you're imagining this is the boundaries of a park. Why was this park created? What was there that made it special? What do we value in here? Well, this might be some rare organism. Maybe it was a rare plant that was protected there. Maybe there's an interesting cultural site over here. This is a unique rock formation that tiny miniature creatures love to climb. So it also has some recreation values. And then you can even make little flags in your park and give a tour to someone in your family and say, well, this is the name, and give your park a name. This one is called the Crocker Park. So yeah, mini parks is a really fun activity, and it's nice to have a boundary to make it in. Oops. Okay, so speaking of small creatures, I wanted to show you something that is really fun tool that you can use to explore some of the things that are all around us. Which are insects. They're the most biodiverse group of animals on the planet, and they're the most abundant, and they're everywhere, and we could not live without them. I'm going to take off my binoculars for this.
They look good.
Okay, so something that people use professionals use to collect insects is called an aspirator, but it has a funny name called a pooter. It's also called a pooter. Some people say it's a pooter because it makes a sound of poot, poot, poot. But I've also heard that it's named for an American entomologist named William Poos. So what a pooter is, here, this is also on our the playlist. I don't know if you can see this, how to make a pooter at home. All you need, I had some old plastic straws lying around in my craft drawer. You could use paper straws as well.
And I think while you're pulling that out,
Mhm.
Chris, if you want to show those images, yeah, he's going to do it right now. Because yeah, there's a picture of Dr. Joel Gibson, an entomologist. He's a bug scientist at the Royal BC Museum, using a pooter right there. He's sucking up some insects. And there's another one there of Joel. He's getting he's getting insects out of a net there. And I have heard the entomologists refer to them as pooters as well.
I'm actually married to an entomologist. So.
Fun fact. All right, thanks, Chris. Okay, so Stephanie, how do you make a pooter?
To make your own very simple pooter, you just need, I had some old nylons. You could use very fine cheesecloth too. You want to make sure whatever you use as your filter, that it's small enough that anything that you sucked up would not go through the mesh. You don't want to be eating any insects by accident or breathing them in. And then I have 2 different size straws. So all you need to do is put the little piece of mesh or stocking on one end. Can you see that okay?
Hold on a second. Yep. Okay.
And then you put it inside.
So sorry, okay, there. Yeah, if you move your hand. Yeah, so you haven't taped it or anything.
No, I'm just showing you how to
okay.
do it.
Yep.
I have some already made, but I just got this ready because it would just be really quick.
Yeah, there we go.
I have
Now we
the
can
nylon over a thin straw, fitted into the bigger straw.
Great.
There we go. And so, and then you can tape it just to make it a little bit more secure. When I do this with a class of students, then everyone can write their name on it, on the tape, so they can bring it home, and so they don't share devices. And so this one has a bigger opening, so it's nice and easy to, you find an ant or something like that, or a small creature. You also have a little container. So what happens is you suck through this, you suck it up. I'll practice with a little piece of lichen here.
Are you going to try to shake something out, or are you going to try the, okay.
I'll just show this first.
Yep. Okay.
So you suck it up and then you blow it out. And that was big, so it didn't go in, but if I did something smaller, like, I got lots of little pieces there. So it doesn't go in my mouth because the mesh stops it. So one of the great ways to use a pooter, so I'm going to have Liz follow me, is to use what we call a beat sheet. Now, to do this with a beat sheet, you actually need a partner, but I'll also bring my clipboard so I could try it on my own. So all we do is we go to some vegetation and do a little shake, and we see what we can find. And you need something white, so a white piece of paper and a clipboard if you're by yourself, or if you have a partner, you could have a couple people hold out an old sheet underneath. We're going to go over to this oak and to the ocean spray, and we'll do a little shake and see what we can get.
Okay, let's see. Let's try not to fall over the rocks.
Okay, so no guarantees we're going to find anything. How are you doing there, Liz? Is this
Good,
an okay spot?
Good. I'm trying not to get too close.
Okay, so I'm just going to lay down the sheet here on top of your spinach.
Okay, just careful with that spinach.
And I'll do a little shake. And let's see, I see lots of little interesting seeds and things coming down. I don't see any
nothing
insects,
moving.
but often what you do is you just wait a minute. Oh, actually on my clipboard, I see some little insects.
Okay, Stephanie's gonna hoot up an insect.
And there it is. You won't be able to see it in there. But then what I could do, it was something very tiny.
Was it?
It looked actually, well, I don't need to identify it because sometimes when you label things, then you lose the interest in it. But what I would do now is get my magnifier and really start to look at it. If I wanted to identify it, we have some other resources that you could use to help you identify some of the plants and animals, small things that you find around you. So that's the pooter.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
If you just stay there for a second, I'm gonna go in front of you.
Okay, that's your stuff.
Chris, we're not frozen or anything?
Yeah, all's good.
Okay, good. So we were at about 2:25. Are there any questions out there? If not, we have other things, but we would happily take questions if there's any. Can you hear me, Chris?
There is no question so far on Zoom.
Okay, that's fine.
While we're waiting to see if there's questions, can I
Yes.
share something else? Well, I just found out that it is National Insect Appreciation Day on June 8th. And they're asking people to take a photograph of an insect that you find and share it with one of these hashtags, National Insect Day or Insect Picture Challenge. And it's really just to share awareness of how beautiful and diverse and amazing insects are.
Oh, that's great. And I think Wes and Chris have shared links to that event as well, so people can go back to that. And I know, Steph, while we're waiting to see if there's any questions, you had rainbow chips, I think, which is also a fun.
Yeah, and Rainbow Chips is another one that's on the HCTF education website. We have a lot of e-learning resources that are in our resource room area of our website, and it's also in the Get Outdoors manual, but it's certainly something anyone can do.
Yeah, and
So-
that, I'll just say that manual is fantastic. And there is, I know, I think you said it, I'll just say it again, there's a link to the PDF of that. So it's a free download, and there's so many great activities in
We
there.
put it on the playlist as
Great,
well,
yeah.
so you can download it for free. So the idea is the entire spectrum of light and colors of the rainbow are available for us to find in nature if we just take a look. And so Liz cut up lots of different different colors. And so you would give a color to everybody, and then, or just randomly choose one out of the bag, and then see if you could try to match it. So it's like a color scavenger hunt. And you start to notice, not every green, you might think that green is easy. Here there's like so many different shades of green. None of them actually match this one very well. And the lichen has so many colors in it when you look closely. Another way to do this that's fun is to use paint chips from a hardware store. And you could even take a whole, instead of cutting them up, you can use it like all the different shades of one color and see, you can make a little check mark. How many can you actually match?
Oh, right. That's
Which
nice.
one is the most common? Tree bark is incredible. You can actually find so many different colors on a tree, not just brown. So that's
Thanks for that,
that's
Stephanie.
rainbow chips.
And we probably have time for one more little short one. I know there was something else we were talking about.
Well,
Unless just let us know, Chris, if there's a question.
I will.
so some other, I have some other things here to show you. This is another thing on the playlist. Outdoor Classroom Essentials has a lot of the tools that Liz and I spoke about and how to make them. There's some great things through Nature Kids BC.
That's on the playlist as
Which is on the
well, a few of
playlist.
them.
Which is a family club connecting to nature all across the province. And they have some fun free resources like Life in the Leaf Litter. So really simple ID cards. So identification field guides can be really overwhelming, but some of these simple ones can just get you starting to notice some of the differences. They have one for pollinators or things that go to flowers. And they also have birds for regionally, which different areas of the province. This one is for the Lower Mainland, which is different than Vancouver Island, actually.
And in the playlist for this program today, I put in there, there's content in the learning portal about listening for birds. So to introduce the idea that you can go for a bird walk where you're just listening, you're just using your ears and learning to identify birds by their calls.
And we also have something called the bird behavior bingo that we've made through Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation. That's on the playlist and on our e-learning area. And that's, you just go outside and you watch birds and see what they're doing rather than figuring out who they are. What are they doing? Are they preening or making a call because a bald eagle is flying by, or taking a bath.
And birds are such a great entry animal, because you just get hooked on birds and you get interested in everything else. They are fascinating once you start watching them. So Stephanie, I'm going to flip the camera. Forgive my fingers. I'm going to put the camera down again, everybody. Hopefully we're not going to freeze. And oop. Go back over here without falling on the rocks. And one last check, Chris, anything?
Oh, yeah, you are frozen.
We're frozen. Maybe it's this spot. It's the one stable spot for the tripod. Are we still frozen? Oh, now you can't hear us. I'm going to move it. Move the camera. How's that?
That's good.
Okay, on that note, I think we're going to say goodbye. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for coming and sharing some of our favorite activities for sharing nature with children.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, and hope to see everybody next week for Oceans Week on June 10th. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.